0330 hours, 26 February 1945, Elsdorf, Germany. The mud is black ice. Corporal Clarence Smoyer presses his eye to the gunner's periscope. The crosshairs float over empty road. His breath fogs the glass. He wipes it clean with his sleeve. The T-26E3 Pershing weighs 41 tons. The tracks sink 6 inches deep. The 90mm gun barrel extends 12 feet past the turret. Smoyer's hands rest on the traverse wheel. Cold steel burns through his gloves. Behind him, the loader shifts shells in the bustle rack. High-velocity armor-piercing rounds. Each one weighs 24 pounds. The brass cases gleam yellow in the turret light. Cardboard tanks. That's what the Germans call them. Smoyer heard it from prisoners. Thin armor, weak guns, easy kills. The Sherman crews know it's true. 75mm guns bounce off Panther frontal armor like raindrops. But this isn't a Sherman. The radio crackles. Static. Then silence. Smoyer adjusts his seat. The hydraulic traverse whirs softly. Left 2 degrees. The crosshairs sweep across shuttered windows. Broken roof tiles. A church steeple pierced by shrapnel. The gunner's telescope has 4-power magnification. Everything looks close. Too close. The empty road stretches toward the village center. Nothing moves. His finger finds the trigger guard. The firing mechanism weighs 8 pounds of pressure. Pull too fast and you miss. Pull too slow and you're dead. Sergeant Early's voice cuts through the intercom. Movement, 2 o'clock. Smoyer spins the traverse wheel. The turret turns, electric motors humming. The crosshairs slide right, past a burned-out truck, past a pile of rubble, past... there. Camouflage netting, draped over angular edges. A Tiger one. Hull down position behind collapsed masonry. The long barrel of the 88mm gun points directly at them. Range, 100 yards. The Tiger fires first. The muzzle flash burns white-hot. The projectile travels 2,600 feet per second. Smoyer sees the flash, hears the crack, feels the Pershing rock backward on its suspension. The round punches through the Koch's machine gun port. Clean penetration. The gunner slumps forward. Blood spatters the breech. The loader screams. Second shot. The Tiger's 88 hits the gun barrel. The round in the chamber detonates. The explosion rips the barrel apart. Twisted metal. Smoking steel. The main gun is gone. Third shot. The projectile glances off the turret side. Sparks cascade. The cupola hatch tears free. Metal fragments ring like church bells. Smoyer's hands shake. The traverse wheel spins freely. No target. No gun. No chance. The driver throws the Pershing into reverse. The transmission whines. Tracks churn mud. They back away from the killing ground. But the Tiger doesn't pursue. The tracks don't turn. The engine doesn't roar. Smoyer watches through the periscope as German crewmen bail out. 4 men running. The Tiger sits motionless. Stuck in the mud. Both tanks are dead. The Americans called it their new toy. The Germans proved them wrong. 41 tons of American steel, knocked out in 30 seconds. The cardboard tank theory holds, but theories die hard. If you want to see how Smoyer's crew got their revenge against the very same German tankers who were trained to kill them, please hit that like button. It helps us share more forgotten stories like this. And please subscribe if you haven't already. Back to Smoyer. 24 hours later, 27th February. Different Pershing, different crew, same war. The Tiger appears at 900 yards. Black smoke belches from its exhaust. The long gun swivels toward the Americans. But this time is different. This time, the Pershing fires first. The 90mm high-velocity armor-piercing round leaves the muzzle at 2,800 feet per second. The tungsten core weighs 4 pounds. At 900 yards, it carries enough kinetic energy to punch through 246 millimeters of rolled steel. The Tiger's frontal armor is 100 millimeters thick. The round strikes center mass. The steel glows orange, then white. Then it gives way. The tungsten penetrator continues through the fighting compartment, through ammunition storage, through the engine block. The Tiger 1 explodes. Flames reach 30 feet high. Black smoke rolls across the battlefield. The turret lifts 6 inches off its ring, then settles back down. Twisted, broken, burning. The cardboard tank theory just died. But the war isn't over. And the Germans are about to learn what 41 tons of American revenge really means. The first 20 T-26 E-3s arrived at Antwerp Harbor on January 15, 1945. Stevedores winched them off Liberty ships using 40-ton cranes. The tanks rolled down steel ramps onto Belgian cobblestones. Their tracks left deep gouges in the stone. Lieutenant Colonel Wesley Sweat watched from the dock. 3rd Armored Division. He counted each Pershing as it cleared the ship's hold. 20 tanks, that was it. The entire European allocation for the month. Behind him, rows of Sherman tanks stretched toward the horizon. Hundreds of them, all armed with 75mm guns. Sweat walked around the lead Pershing. The hull measured 20 feet long. The turret added another 8 feet of gun overhang. Total weight, 41 tons. He kicked the front drive sprocket, solid steel. The armor plate looked thick, thicker than anything he'd seen on American tanks. But thick armor meant problems. The dock supervisor approached with a clipboard. "Colonel, we have a bridge issue." "What kind of issue?" "Weight limits. European bridges are rated for 35 tons maximum. These things weigh 41. Sweat pulled out his map case. Red lines marked the advance routes from Antwerp to the Rhine. Every major river crossing, every strategic bridge. The math was simple. No bridges meant no deployment. How long to reinforce the spans? Weeks, maybe months. The Pershing sat motionless on the dock. 20 tanks, useless. By January 22nd, the bridge crisis had reached Eisenhower's headquarters. Engineers presented 3 options: reinforce every bridge between Belgium and Germany, deploy the Pershings only where heavy bridges existed, or cancel the program entirely. Eisenhower chose option 2. The deployment memo reached 3rd Armored on January 25th. T-26 E-3 employment will be limited to reinforced crossing points and strategic objectives requiring maximum firepower. Translation: the Pershings would fight only where the bridges could hold them. Staff Sergeant Clarence Smoyer received his transfer orders that same day. From Company E's Sherman tanks to the new heavy tank platoon. He reported to the motor pool at 0800 hours. The Pershing waited under camouflage netting. Smoyer climbed through the driver's hatch. The interior smelled like fresh paint and machine oil. Everything was different. The gun breech dominated the turret space, 90 millimeters of rifled steel. The ammunition racks held fewer rounds than the Sherman, 54 shells instead of 76. But each shell was bigger, heavier, deadlier. The gunner's periscope offered 4-power magnification. Smoyer adjusted the eyepiece. The crosshairs looked familiar. Same reticle pattern as the Sherman, same firing controls. But the Traverse motor sounded different, quieter, more precise. Technical Sergeant Bob Early squeezed into the commander's position. "What do you think, Smoyer?" "Feels solid. It better. We're carrying 41 tons of reputation here." The gunnery manual arrived 3 days later. Classified document. Smoyer read it by flashlight in his bunk. The 90mm M3 gun fired several ammunition types. High explosive for soft targets, armor-piercing for standard penetration. And something new. High-velocity armor-piercing. The HVAP round used a tungsten core surrounded by lightweight aluminum. At 1,000 yards, it could punch through 246 millimeters of steel. That was enough to kill any German tank, even the Tiger II. But the manual included a warning. HVAP ammunition is an extremely limited supply. Use only against confirmed heavy armor targets. Each Pershing carried exactly 12 HVAP rounds, 12 chances to kill the biggest German tanks. The crew training began immediately. Smoyer spent hours on the gunnery simulator. Electronic targets appeared at random ranges. He adjusted for distance, wind, and target movement. The simulator recorded his hit percentage. 87% at ranges under 1,000 yards, 93% under 500 yards. But simulators weren't combat. Staff Sergeant John D. Riggi joined as loader. He'd served on Sherman tanks since Normandy. His job was simple: Grab the right shell, slam it into the breech, clear the recoil path. 24 pounds per shell. The HVAP rounds were heavier, 28 pounds each. Durigi practiced the loading sequence until muscle memory took over. Armor piercing from the left rack, high explosive from the right. HVAP from the special locker behind his position. Each shell type had a different grip technique, different balance point. Drop one and the crew dies. By February 10th, the bridge reinforcement program showed progress. Engineers had strengthened 12 major crossings between the Roer River and the Rhine. Each bridge received additional steel girders and concrete piers. Load capacity increased from 35 tons to 50 tons, enough for the Pershing. The deployment order came on February 15th. 3rd Armored Division will advance to forward positions beginning February 20th. T-26E3 tanks will provide overwatch and breakthrough capability at designated crossing points. Smoyer's crew received their tank assignment. Hull number USA 30306080. Nickname Eagle 7. The name was painted in white letters below the commander's hatch. Simple, direct, American. The final equipment check took place on February 19th. Smoyer tested every system. Main gun elevation, plus 20 degrees, minus 10 degrees. Traverse, full 360 rotation in 15 seconds. Ammunition load, 36 armor piercing, 18 high explosive, 12 HVAP. Radio frequency, preset to 3rd Armored Combat Net. The engine started with a deep rumble. 500 horsepower Ford GAF V8. The same engine used in Sherman tanks, but the Pershing weighed 11 tons more. Maximum road speed, 30 miles per hour on good terrain. Less in mud, much less. Early climbed into the commander's position. Mount up, we're moving to contact. The convoy departed at 0600 hours. 20 Pershings followed by supply trucks, ammunition carriers, and recovery vehicles. The column stretched 2 miles along the Belgian highway. Destination? The Roer River Line. Mission: breakthrough and exploitation. German intelligence had already identified the new American tanks. Prisoner interrogations revealed the details. Heavy armor, long gun, limited numbers. The Wehrmacht issued new tactical guidance. American heavy tanks will be engaged at maximum range using anti-tank guns and tank destroyers. Avoid close engagement. But tactical guidance was theory. Combat was reality. And the reality was rolling toward Germany at 30 miles per hour, leaving deep track marks in the European mud. The morning of February 27th brought clear skies and frozen ground. Smoyer pressed his eye to the gunner's periscope. The crosshairs swept across empty farmland. Bare trees lined the horizon. No movement, no targets. Eagle 7 sat hull down behind a small ridge 900 yards from the tree line. The position offered perfect fields of fire across the open ground. Early had chosen it, carefully. Good visibility. Multiple escape routes. Solid earth for the tracks. The radio crackled with reports from other units. Sherman tanks were encountering heavy resistance near Düren. 2 knocked out by 88mm guns, 1 by a Panther. The German defenders were fighting harder as the Americans pushed deeper into the Reich. Contact 11 o'clock, Durigi's voice cut through the intercom. Smoyer traversed left. The turret motor whined softly. Through the periscope, he saw movement in the tree line. Dark shapes between the trunks. Angular silhouettes that didn't belong to nature. Tiger 1. Range 900 yards. The German tank emerged from concealment slowly, cautiously. Its commander knew the Americans were nearby. The long 88mm gun swept left and right, searching for targets. Camouflage branches still clung to the turret sides. Smoyer centered the crosshairs on the Tiger's frontal armor. The rangefinder showed 850 yards. Well within the M3 gun's effective range. But this was the moment of truth. Could the 90mm gun penetrate the Tiger's frontal protection? The technical specifications said yes. The HVAP round could punch through 246mm of steel at 1,000 yards. The Tiger's frontal armor measured 100mm. The tungsten penetrator should go through like paper, but specifications weren't combat. Load HVAP, Early commanded. Derigi grabbed the special round from the secure locker, 28 pounds of tungsten-cored death. He slammed it into the breech. The mechanism closed with a solid click. The gun was ready. The Tiger continued its advance across the open ground. 800 yards, 750, 700. The German crew hadn't spotted Eagle 7 yet. The hull-down position was working perfectly. Smoyer adjusted his aim point. Center mass on the glacis plate, the thickest part of the Tiger's armor. If the HVAP round could penetrate there, it could penetrate anywhere. His finger found the trigger. 8 pounds of pressure, no more, no less. "Fire when ready," Early said quietly. Smoyer took a deep breath, held it. The crosshairs steadied on target. The Tiger filled the periscope view. Massive, intimidating, the apex predator of European battlefields. He squeezed the trigger. The 90mm gun roared. The entire tank rocked backward on its suspension. Smoke filled the turret. The muzzle flash illuminated the landscape like lightning. The HVAP round left the barrel at 2,800 feet per second. Flight time, 1.1 seconds. The tungsten penetrator struck the Tiger's glacis plate 6 inches below the gun mantelet. The steel glowed white-hot, then orange. Then it failed catastrophically. The penetrator continued through the fighting compartment, severing hydraulic lines and igniting ammunition. The Tiger exploded. Flames erupted from every hatch and viewport. The turret lifted 3 feet off its ring, balanced there for a moment, then crashed back down at a twisted angle. Secondary explosions rippled through the hull as stored ammunition cooked off. Black smoke rose 500 feet into the clear morning air. "Target destroyed," Smoyer reported calmly. But the engagement wasn't over. Movement in the tree line revealed 2 more German tanks, Panzer IVs. Lighter armor, but still dangerous. The lead tank fired at Eagle 7's muzzle flash. The 75mm round struck the ridge in front of their position, showering dirt and rocks across the glacis plate. 2 more targets. Panzer IVs. Range 1,200 yards. Longer range this time. The Panzer IV's frontal armor was only 80mm thick. Standard armor piercing would be sufficient. Smoyer didn't need to waste another precious HVAP round. "Load AP," Early ordered. Derigi grabbed a 24-pound armor-piercing shell. The breech opened. The spent HVAP casing clattered to the turret floor, still smoking hot. The new round slammed home, ready to fire. The lead Panzer IV was moving, trying to flank around the burning Tiger. Its commander understood the tactical situation. The Americans had revealed their position. Time to maneuver. But maneuvering takes time, and time was something the Germans didn't have. Smoyer led the target. The Panzer IV was moving left to right at approximately 15 miles per hour. At 1,200 yards, he needed to aim 2 tank lengths ahead of the target. Basic gunnery mathematics. The crosshairs settled on empty ground. The Panzer IV rolled toward the aim point. Smoyer waited. The German tank entered his crosshairs. Fire. The second shot was as accurate as the first. The armor-piercing round struck the Panzer IV's turret ring, the weakest point on any tank. The 75mm gun barrel snapped upward. The turret jammed. Smoke poured from the engine compartment. The crew bailed out. 4 men running across open ground. They made it to the tree line before anyone could engage them with machine gun fire. The 3rd Panzer IV retreated immediately. Its commander had seen enough. 2 tanks destroyed in 90 seconds. The new American tank was everything German intelligence had warned about. Heavy armor, long gun, deadly accuracy. Word of the engagement spread quickly through German radio networks. Amerikanischer schwerer Panzer, 90mm Kanone, sehr gefährlich. American heavy tank, 90mm gun, very dangerous. The myth of German armor superiority had just taken a mortal blow. For 3 years, Wehrmacht tank crews had dominated European battlefields. Tigers and Panthers could engage Allied tanks at ranges where return fire was ineffective. The psychological advantage was enormous. But psychology works both ways. American tank crews monitoring German radio frequencies heard the transmissions, fear in the voices, respect for American firepower. For the first time since landing in Normandy, Allied tankers felt they had parity with their opponents. The technical proof was irrefutable. The 90mm M3 gun could kill any German tank at combat ranges. The T-26E3's frontal armor could stop most German anti-tank weapons. American industrial capacity was finally producing weapons that matched German technology. Eagle 7 remained in position for another hour. No additional contacts. The Germans had learned their lesson. Direct engagement with the new American tanks was suicide. They would adapt their tactics accordingly, but adaptation takes time. And the Americans were advancing on a broad front with dozens of Pershing spearheading the assault. The window for German tactical adjustment was closing rapidly. Smoyer cleaned his periscope with a cloth. The lens had fogged during the engagement. Adrenaline and excitement affected everyone differently. His hands were steady. His breathing was normal. The shot had been perfect. 2 kills with 2 rounds. The cardboard tank theory was officially dead. The Ludendorff Bridge at Remagen stretched 412 meters across the Rhine. Steel trusses supported double railroad tracks. Concrete towers anchored each end. German demolition charges hung from every support beam like deadly fruit. Lieutenant Karl Timmermann reached the bridge approach at 14:20 hours on March 7th. 1st Infantry Division. Behind him, a platoon of 5 Pershings from 9th Armored waited for orders. The tanks idled in column formation, exhaust smoke drifting across the riverbank. The bridge looked intact, no gaps in the roadway, no twisted steel hanging into the water. But appearances meant nothing. German engineers had wired every strategic crossing for demolition. Standard procedure: deny the Americans any rapid advance across Germany's last natural barrier. Timmermann studied the structure through binoculars. The railroad ties were spaced 18 inches apart, too narrow for tank tracks. The Pershings would need to cross on the pedestrian walkways, 2 concrete strips running parallel to the rails. Each strip measured 8 feet wide. The Pershing's track width was 11 feet 4 inches. "Sir, we have a problem," Staff Sergeant Bob Jenkins approached with engineering calculations. 9th Armored Division Maintenance Officer. He'd been measuring the bridge specifications since 0800 hours. "The walkways won't support the weight. Pershings weigh 41 tons each. The walkways are rated for 20 tons maximum. Infantry and light equipment only." Timmerman lowered his binoculars. The tactical situation was clear. American forces had achieved complete surprise. The bridge was intact. German defenders were retreating across the Rhine in disorganized panic, but the heavy tanks couldn't cross. The 1st Pershing commander, Sergeant William Goodson, dismounted from his tank. He walked to the bridge approach and kicked the concrete walkway. Solid construction, German engineering, built to last decades, but not built for American heavy tanks. "How long to reinforce the walkways?" Timmerman asked. Jenkins consulted his notebook. "Minimum 72 hours. We'd need steel plates, concrete supports, additional pilings, major engineering project." Behind them, German artillery began falling on the east bank. 105mm howitzers. The shells landed in tight patterns around the bridge towers. Fragments ricocheted off steel beams. The Germans were trying to destroy their own bridge rather than let it fall intact into American hands. The 5 Pershings pulled back to defilade positions. Their crews watched helplessly as infantry units advanced across the bridge on foot. No tank support, no heavy firepower, just riflemen with bazookas and determination. By 15:30 hours, American forces had established a small bridgehead on the east bank, but German counterattacks were already forming. Tank destroyers, artillery, infantry with Panzerfausts. The bridgehead needed armor support immediately. Lieutenant Colonel Leonard Engemann studied the tactical map. 9th Armored Division Commander. The nearest alternative crossing was 40 kilometers downstream. Too far. Too much time. The Remagen bridgehead would be overrun before reinforcements arrived. "We need those Pershings across the river," he told Jenkins. "Find a way." The engineering solution came from an unexpected source. Sergeant First Class Alex Drabik had served in bridge construction before the war, Pennsylvania steelworker. He understood load distribution and structural engineering. "We use the railroad tracks," Drabik explained. "Steel rails can support the weight. We lay planking across the ties, create a roadway. The Pershings cross single file." Jenkins ran the calculations. Steel rails were rated for locomotive weights. A steam engine weighed 60 tons or more. The Pershing's 41 tons were within acceptable limits. The plan could work, but time was running out. German artillery was increasing in intensity. Direct hits on the bridge towers sent concrete chunks splashing into the Rhine. The demolition charges were still in place. One lucky shell could trigger a chain reaction. The bridging operation began at 1800 hours. Engineers laid wooden planking across the railroad ties. Each plank measured 12 feet long by 2 feet wide. Oak construction, strong enough to distribute tank weight across multiple ties simultaneously. The first Pershing began crossing at 1945 hours. Goodson commanded from the turret hatch. The tank moved at walking speed, 2 miles per hour. Each track had to stay precisely aligned with the planking. One slip meant disaster. The bridge swayed under the tank's weight. Steel cables vibrated like guitar strings. The concrete towers groaned audibly. But the structure held. German engineering was proving stronger than German explosives. Halfway across, German artillery found the range. A 105 shell exploded 20 meters short. Water geysered between the bridge piers. Fragments peppered the Pershing's hull. Goodson ducked into the turret but kept moving forward. The second shell was closer, 10 meters. The concussion rattled every rivet in the bridge structure. The Pershing's radio antenna snapped off. Static filled the intercom. But the tank kept rolling. At 20:05 hours, the first Pershing reached the east bank. Goodson immediately moved to a defensive position overlooking the river. His 90mm gun commanded the entire bridge approach. German counterattacks would have to deal with American heavy armor. The second Pershing started crossing at 20:15, then the third. Each crossing took exactly 20 minutes. Careful navigation, constant artillery fire. Growing structural stress on the bridge supports. The fourth Pershing never made it across. German artillery achieved a direct hit on the North Tower at 20:40 hours. The explosion severed primary support cables. The bridge deck sagged 3 feet. Steel beams twisted under their own weight. The railroad tracks buckled. Sergeant Mike Chinchar's Pershing was caught in the middle of the span when the structure failed. The left track broke through damaged planking. The tank tilted sideways. 41 tons of American steel hung suspended over the Rhine River. The crew bailed out immediately. 4 men scrambling across twisted steel and broken concrete. German machine gun fire swept the bridge deck. Bullets sparked off metal beams. 2 crewmen made it to the east bank. 2 fell into the river. The Pershing hung there for 6 hours. A monument to overextension. American ambition meeting German engineering. The bridge had held just long enough to get 3 tanks across. Not enough for sustained operations. Not enough to exploit the breakthrough. German forces launched their counterattack at 0300 hours on March 8th. 2 companies of infantry. Tank destroyer support. Concentrated mortar fire. The objective was simple. Eliminate the American bridgehead before it could be reinforced. The 3 Pershings fought from hull-down positions along the riverbank. Their 90mm guns dominated the battlefield. German infantry couldn't advance. Tank destroyers couldn't find effective firing positions. But 3 tanks weren't enough to hold ground indefinitely. By dawn, ammunition was running low. Each Pershing had fired 30 rounds or more, high explosive against infantry, armor-piercing against vehicles, HVAP against the heaviest targets. The supply situation was critical. Aerial resupply was impossible. German flak guns controlled the airspace over the Rhine. Ground transport was blocked by the damaged bridge. The Pershings were effectively isolated on the wrong side of the river. The tactical lesson was harsh but clear. Heavy tanks needed heavy logistics. The Pershing's 41-ton weight was both strength and weakness. Superior firepower and protection came at the cost of strategic mobility, bridge capacity, supply requirements, maintenance complexity. The German counterattack stalled but didn't retreat. Both sides settled into defensive positions. The Americans held their bridgehead. The Germans contained it. 3 Pershings had crossed the Rhine but couldn't exploit their advantage. The cardboard tank myth was dead. But the logistics of modern warfare had just reminded everyone that tactical superiority meant nothing without operational support. 41 tons of American steel sat on German soil, powerful but isolated. The breakthrough came at 0600 hours on March 15th, when Allied engineers completed the first heavy bridge across the Rhine at Remagen. Steel pontoons supported a roadway rated for 50 tons. The Pershings could finally cross in formation instead of single file. Lieutenant Belton Cooper watched the first tank company roll across the floating bridge. 18th Armored Ordnance Battalion. His job was keeping the heavy tanks operational. 41 tons of American steel required constant maintenance, track tension, engine oil, hydraulic fluid, ammunition resupply. The logistics were staggering. Each Pershing consumed 2 gallons of fuel per mile. The Ford GF engine required oil changes every 500 miles. The transmission needed service every 1,000. In combat conditions, those intervals shortened dramatically. Cooper's maintenance crews worked 18-hour shifts, welding cracked armor, replacing damaged tracks, rebuilding transmissions. The Pershings were mechanically complex machines, more complex than Shermans. More things could break. More things did break. But when they worked, they dominated. Eagle 7 crossed the Rhine at 0830 hours. Smoyer felt the bridge sway under their weight. Steel cables vibrated, pontoons displaced water. But the crossing was smooth, no damaged planking, no structural failures. Industrial engineering at its finest. The East Bank revealed a different landscape. Flatter terrain, longer sight lines, perfect country for tank versus tank engagements. The Germans had chosen their defensive positions carefully. Hold-down positions behind ridgelines, camouflaged gun emplacements, interlocking fields of fire. 3rd Armored Division's new mission was simple. Advance to the Weser River, destroy German armor, prevent organized withdrawal. The Pershings would spearhead every assault. Their 90mm guns would crack open defensive positions that had stopped previous attacks. The first engagement occurred at 1140 hours near Siegen. German reconnaissance reported American heavy tanks advancing in column formation. 2 companies, 24 Pershings, unprecedented concentration of firepower. Oberst Heinrich Weber commanded the defensive sector. 23rd Panzer Regiment, he had 12 tanks remaining, 8 Panzer IVs, 4 Panthers. No Tigers. The heavy tanks had been transferred to other sectors weeks ago. Weber's tactical problem was immediate. His 75mm guns could penetrate Sherman armor at ranges up to 800 meters. Against Pershing frontal armor, effective range dropped to 300 meters, maybe less. The Americans advanced in staggered formation. Lead elements crested the ridge at 1,200-meter range, too far for effective German fire, but perfect range for the 90mm guns. The first Pershing fired at 12:05 hours. HVAP round. Target, camouflaged Panther at 1,100 meters. The tungsten penetrator struck the mantle at dead center. The German tank exploded immediately. Flames erupted from every hatch. Weber ordered immediate withdrawal. His remaining tanks couldn't fight at those ranges. The tactical mathematics were brutal. American guns effective at 1,200 meters, German guns effective at 300 meters. The engagement envelope favored the Pershings 9-1. The withdrawal became a rout. German tanks retreated cross-country at maximum speed. No formation, no coordination. Individual survival took precedence over unit cohesion. The psychological impact was devastating. German tank crews had dominated European battlefields for 3 years. Superior armor, superior guns, superior tactics. The Americans had been easy targets, thin-skinned Shermans with weak 75mm guns. But the Pershings changed everything. Radio intercepts revealed German panic. Amerikanischer schwerer Panzer überall. American heavy tanks everywhere. Unit commanders reported contact with superior enemy armor at multiple locations. Withdrawal requests flooded divisional headquarters. The tactical shift was profound. German tank crews now avoided engagement whenever possible. They used hit-and-run tactics, ambush positions, indirect fire, anything except direct confrontation with American heavy tanks. Cooper's maintenance teams followed the advance. They established mobile repair facilities in captured German towns. Welding equipment, parts inventory, recovery vehicles. The logistics trail stretched back to Antwerp Harbor. Every Pershing required daily maintenance. Track adjustment took 30 minutes. Engine inspection took an hour. Transmission service took 4 hours. Major repairs took days. The mechanical complexity was the price of superior performance, but the performance was worth it. Eagle 7 engaged 3 German tanks near Paderborn on March 22nd. Range, 900 meters. Target types, 2 Panzer IVs, 1 Panther. Engagement duration, 4 minutes. Results, 3 kills, 0 friendly losses. Smoyer's accuracy was becoming legendary. 17 confirmed kills since crossing the Rhine. 0 misses with HVAP ammunition. The tungsten-cored rounds never failed to penetrate. Physics trumped armor every time. The German response evolved rapidly. They deployed 88mm Breiterwetzer, anti-tank guns in concealed positions, Panzerfaust teams in urban areas, mines and obstacles on likely tank routes. If they couldn't match American firepower, they would use terrain and tactics. The countermeasures worked occasionally. One Pershing hit a mine near Göttingen, another was knocked out by an 88 at close range in Kassel, but the losses were acceptable. Industrial capacity could replace damaged tanks faster than German defenses could destroy them. By March 28th, American heavy tanks had achieved operational supremacy across the entire front. German armored resistance collapsed. Panzer units retreated toward Berlin. The myth of German tank superiority was officially dead. Wehrmacht after-action reports told the story in clinical detail. Enemy heavy tanks demonstrate superior firepower at all engagement ranges. Recommend immediate withdrawal when contact is made. The hunters had become the hunted. Cooper read the intelligence summaries with professional satisfaction. His maintenance crews had kept the Pershings operational through 3 weeks of continuous combat. Availability rates exceeded 90%. Better than Sherman tanks. Better than German tanks. The technical achievement was remarkable. American industry had designed, built, and deployed a tank that matched German heavy armor in every category. Firepower, protection, mobility. The industrial miracle had produced a tactical revolution. Eagle 7 reached the Weser River on April 2nd. The objective was complete. German defenses were shattered. Organized resistance had collapsed. The Pershings had proved their concept beyond any doubt. Smoyer cleaned his periscope for the last time in combat. 23 confirmed kills. 0 losses to his crew. The cardboard tank theory was not just dead. It was buried under the wreckage of German panzer divisions. The gun that German crews had mocked was now the gun they feared most. The tank they had dismissed as inferior now dominated every battlefield. American steel had proved its worth in the crucible of armored warfare. Industrial capacity had met tactical excellence. The result was victory. The German surrender came at 23:01 hours on May 8, 1945. Admiral Karl Dönitz signed the unconditional capitulation in Reims. The European war was over. Eagle 7 sat motionless in a wheat field outside Magdeburg, engines silent for the first time in months. Smoyer climbed out of the gunner's position and stood on the turret. The countryside stretched endlessly in all directions. Green fields, scattered farmhouses, no muzzle flashes, no explosions, no enemy tanks lurking behind ridgelines, just silence. The quiet felt strange after weeks of constant combat. His ears still rang from gun blasts. His hands still trembled slightly from adrenaline that no longer had purpose. The war machine had stopped, but the machine operators needed time to wind down. Early joined him on the turret. 23 kills, Smoyer. Not bad for a cardboard tank. The joke carried weight now. Every German prisoner they'd interrogated had heard the term. Pappenpanzer, cardboard tanks. The Wehrmacht had built an entire tactical doctrine around American armor weakness. Engage at close range. Use superior firepower. Exploit thin armor. The doctrine had worked perfectly against Shermans. 75mm guns couldn't penetrate German heavy armor at combat ranges. American tank crews died in burning holes, while German crews collected easy victories. The kill ratios were devastating, but the Pershings had changed the equation overnight. Cooper's maintenance teams were already conducting post-combat inspections. Every tank required complete overhaul. Worn tracks, stressed engines, damaged transmissions. Months of continuous operation had taken their toll on mechanical systems. The statistical analysis told the story clearly. 200 Pershings had been issued to combat units in Europe. 187 were still operational on Victory Day. 13 had been destroyed by enemy action. 0 had been abandoned due to mechanical failure. Compare that to Sherman's statistics. 30,000 Shermans deployed to Europe. 8,000 destroyed in combat. 12,000 abandoned due to mechanical breakdown. The reliability differential was striking, but numbers only told part of the story. Smoyer walked around Eagle 7 slowly. The hull showed multiple impact marks. 88mm rounds that had bounced off frontal armor. Panzerfaust hits that had failed to penetrate. Machine gun bullets that had left scratches on steel plate. Each mark represented a moment when superior armor had saved lives. American tank crews who went home to their families instead of dying in foreign fields. The industrial miracle had a human dimension that statistics couldn't capture. The psychological impact was equally significant. German tank crews had lost their confidence. Radio intercepts from March and April showed declining morale. Unit commanders reported reluctance to engage superior enemy armor. Withdrawal requests became routine. The hunters had become the hunted. Lieutenant Colonel Sweat arrived at Eagle 7's position at 14:30 hours. 3rd Armored Division was conducting final equipment inspections before redeployment. Every Pershing would be evaluated for service life and mechanical condition. "How's she running, Sergeant?" Sweat asked early. "Like a clock, sir. 23 kills and still purring." Sweat examined the gun barrel. No stress fractures, no excessive wear. The 90mm M3 had fired over 400 rounds in combat. High explosive, armor-piercing, HVAP. Each shot had been accurate. Each target had been destroyed. The industrial achievement was remarkable. American factories had designed and built a weapon system that matched German heavy armor in every category: firepower, protection, reliability. The production miracle had delivered tactical superiority when it mattered most. Dirigi was cleaning the turret interior, removing spent shell casings, cataloging remaining ammunition, organizing equipment for transport. The loader's job continued even after the shooting stopped. Maintenance and preparation were constant requirements. "How many HVAP rounds did we fire?" Smoyer asked. 37, Dirigi replied without hesitation. "Never missed once." The tungsten cord rounds had been devastatingly effective. Every HVAP shot had achieved penetration. Every penetration had resulted in a kill. The physics were unforgiving. 246 millimeters of penetration at 1,000 yards. No German tank could survive that impact. But HVAP ammunition had been critically scarce. Each Pershing carried only 12 rounds initially. Supply convoys brought additional stocks, but never enough. Every shot had to count. Every target had to be worth the precious tungsten. The scarcity had forced tactical discipline. Smoyer couldn't waste shots on marginal targets. He had to identify genuine threats. Calculate ranges precisely. Account for target movement and environmental factors. The limitation had made him a better gunner. By late afternoon, maintenance teams had completed their inspections. Eagle 7 was mechanically sound. Engine compression was within specifications. Transmission operated smoothly. Electrical systems functioned normally. The tank was ready for whatever came next. But what came next was peace. Smoyer sat in the gunner's position one final time. The periscope showed the same wheat field, the same scattered farmhouses, the same peaceful countryside. But his perspective had changed completely. He was no longer the crew member of a despised cardboard tank. He was the gunner of the most feared weapon on European battlefields. German tank crews had radioed warnings when Pershings appeared. Infantry units had requested immediate withdrawal. Artillery observers had called for maximum fire support. The transformation was complete. American industry had taken 3 years to develop effective heavy tanks. 3 years of battlefield defeats. 3 years of technological inferiority. 3 years of unnecessary casualties in burning Sherman hulls. But when the solution arrived, it was overwhelming. The Pershing didn't just match German heavy armor, it exceeded German capabilities in every measurable category. Better gun, better armor, better reliability, better crew survivability. The cardboard tank myth had died in the wheat fields and industrial towns of Western Germany. 23 confirmed kills by one crew and one tank proved the point decisively. American steel was no longer inferior to German engineering. Cooper's final maintenance report summarized the achievement succinctly. T-26E3 tanks demonstrated superior performance in all combat categories. Recommend immediate production increase for Pacific deployment, but the Pacific War ended 3 months later. The atomic bombs eliminated the need for tank warfare against Japan. The Pershings had arrived just in time to prove their worth in Europe, then became obsolete before they could demonstrate their capabilities in the Pacific. Smoyer climbed out of the tank for the last time as a combat gunner. The war was over. The mission was complete. The cardboard tanks had become the most feared weapons on the battlefield. American industrial capacity had triumphed over German technological superiority. The myth was dead. The victory was complete. 41 tons of American steel had restored the balance of armored warfare. The hunters and the hunted had changed places permanently. Technical inferiority had been overcome through industrial determination. The lesson would echo through decades of future conflicts. Superior design, properly applied, could neutralize any enemy advantage. Eagle 7 would return to America, but its legacy would endure on battlefields yet to come.